I'm Monish and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, that was not enough pressure, huh? Thanks, Ken. um, so my sobriety date is December 31st, 2019. I just turned 1 year old this past December, so I'm 1 year and 9 days. Um, I have a sponsor who has a sponsor. My home group is Crystal Clear on Saturday afternoons at 2:30 p.m. Uh, and I was asked to do this meeting and speak at this meeting, and it was extremely inconvenient. So I said yes, because that's what we're supposed to do as alcoholics, right? Contra reaction. Uh, I had plans for tonight with dinner with friends, and I was like, dinner, sobriety. Let's think about that one. Didn't have to think too hard. And of course, since Ken asked me, I was like, yes, definitely, I'll do this. Little quick background about me. I come from a relatively normal household. My father worked for the airline, so we kept getting transferred to different countries. I was actually born in Kenya. And then we moved all over the world, mostly Asia and Africa. And I grew up, so I studied in different countries and different cities, and didn't have one place I called home. And at the time, if you'd asked me, how did I like it? And I would have said I hated it. Today, you ask me, I say I wouldn't change that for the world, because I never would have gotten that kind of experience and exposure of being able to be malleable around what my surroundings are and adapt to my surroundings. So that's the good thing that came out of it. And like I said, normal family for the most part. And then went to school, graduated college. Didn't know what I wanted to do after college, worked for a couple of years, and then I said I want to do my master's. That's when I moved to the United States. Was in Boston doing my master's and got my master's degree and started working, and had this whole, suddenly I felt free, right? And I don't know why I felt free. It was like this sudden freedom, like from my family, from my parents, because I had my own money, I had my own job, I had everything, my own apartment, I could do what I want. So I started doing what I wanted, and drinking and going out and all the good stuff. So that came along with it. In the process, I contracted HIV and went into severe depression. The depression led me towards crystal meth, which is my kryptonite. So 2 years of using crystal meth took me completely downhill, where my family came and intervened. And I got sober from crystal meth at that point, and all drugs. And I stayed sober of all drugs for 16 years. And I know this is an alcohol meeting, but I did drink, but my alcohol intake was very limited. So I considered myself a maybe circumstantial sober person, not really, because I wasn't working a program. I was working I was in relationships that kept me sober. I was in a relationship for 7 years where my partner for 3 years, in those 7 years, 3 years, he got allergic to alcohol. So we didn't even drink in the house and didn't even miss it. The most we had was, like, if people came over, we'd offer wine. I mean, that's the kind of drinking that happened with me. And then we broke up and I got my own place, and I was off to the races again, and the partying, the drinking, and it was like, oh, okay. But I was older, so I wasn't going out that often. So what do I do? And got the apps out there, so invited people over, and guess what? Someone said, do you want to do some crystal meth? I was like, yes, why not? That's exactly what I want to do, right? That's the addict mind that works with me. And I went down that path, and led to 2 years of misery, I would say. It took me 2 years to lose everything. right? I mean, I had my own home. I had my own Mercedes convertible, brand new. Um, I've had a three-figure job. I mean, six-figure job, and I had it all, everything, you name it, I had it. That was materialistically would keep you happy, but I didn't have inner peace or inner happiness or anything of that sort. Um, Came around, and while I was in my using, I got into a very, very toxic relationship with someone much younger than me. And he would go out and cheat on me. And because of that, I retaliated and cheated on him. And we just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. To the point where at one point I just got so tired of it that we got into this physical fight. And in that fight, I had a knife in my hand and he got stabbed. I mean, seriously, the judge doesn't believe that it was not intentional. I mean, if it was intentional, the knife would have gone all the way in. It only went a quarter inch. I mean, come on. If I really wanted to stab him, I would have really stabbed him. But he didn't get. Anywho, I got jail time, and then for 30 days I was in jail, and then they sent me to rehab for another 90. And I'm one of those addicts who can really, really work the program. If you tell me to sit, I'll sit. If you tell me to stand, I'll stand. I can manipulate you to the core, and you will not even know that because I can manipulate myself. That's how good I am. I won't even know that I'm manipulating myself. So I manipulated the whole program, graduated perfectly, I'm like, I need to get out of this place. Got out of the place. Within a month, I said, the only way I can get back together with him is if I start using again. So I started using again. And we got back together again. And kept cheating on each other, and kept fighting, and kept hitting each other until someone called the cops on us, and I got arrested. And I was arrested on December 30th, 2019. And that was the last day I used. And December 31st is when I call my sobriety date for that reason. And I was sitting my ass in jail, and I'm like thinking, so what's next? In the meantime, my house got foreclosed on, and I had nowhere else to go. My ex from 7 years has been my rock. He's married to his husband, and who's become a very good friend of mine too. So he took care of my dog at the time and everything, because the dog was ours when we were together for 7 years. So I came out of I'm sitting in jail and wondering, is this how I want to live my life? Is this where I want my life to go? And I realized, no, this is not what I want to, this is not how I want to end my life. I don't want to be, because the next thing, if I continued going down the path of chasing after this boy, the judge looked at me square in the eye and said, you're going to prison for 12 years. And because that's how California is, right? Thank you, O.J. Simpson. Makes domestic violence. I mean, once in a while you get a slap around, it's okay. That's a joke, don't take it seriously. But it's, so he told me you're going to go to prison. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to lose. If you ask me one thing I'm deathly afraid of now is losing my freedom. And that's what I learned in jail. So I came out of jail and I said, what do? I had no home to go to. My ex picked me up and he told me very clearly, you cannot stay with us. Him and his husband. I'm like, okay. He's like, you're gonna have to go home, you'll shower and find a place. And the thing was, I was arrested in these boxer shorts, and by the time he came and picked me up, I was at Union Station, and this was the most embarrassing thing for me. I literally looked like a homeless person where they kicked me out of Union Station. Because they're like, you can't be in boxers in Union Station. And I'm carrying a Starbucks cup in my hand with my phone, with an iPhone 10. I'm like, really, you think I'm homeless? I look that bad? And yes, I did look that bad. And that's how bad things were for me. And I would have been one of those people living on Skid Row. That was my life. if I continued that path. I came over, I said, okay, I'm moving into a sober living. I told my ex, I'm moving into a sober living. And I got released on March 11th, and literally March 13th, California went into a lockdown. I think the whole country did, right? Because of COVID. So now I'm stuck trying to find a place to live. Luckily, I found a sober living within a month and moved in there. And I started working the program. I started attending meetings. I got a sponsor. I had a temporary sponsor, and then I found a CMA sponsor because that's what I needed. I needed CMA. That was where I feel at home. That's where I felt most comfortable. And then I started doing IOP. And because my crime was domestic violence, I have to take what I call stabby class, which is anger management, domestic violence classes. But I call it my stabby McStabby class. So I started doing that. And in the months that I've been doing that, since I've come out of jail, so I would say 8 months, I did learn the most valuable thing was, one, I was physically abused by my mother growing up, which I always thought was generational and which I always thought was cultural. But no, it wasn't. It was abuse. Two, a lot of my issues have stemmed from my own internalized homophobia. And like Ken said, we met at a meeting called Queer and Anonymous, and we're both secretaries to 2 different nights of those meetings. And the reason for me, I took that on was so that I could actually address my own internalized homophobia. Because I still don't accept myself. 3, I'm the most fucking codependent sorry, I shouldn't be saying that. I'm the most freaking codependent person you will find. If I'm into you and you have a problem, boo, I'm fixing you. That's me. I want to take on your problems and fix you and fix your problems for you. That's how codependent I am. And these are my character defects at the end of the day, and I have to work on them. I'm the biggest procrastinator because I'm supposed to start my 4th step and I haven't. And my sponsor yesterday, I was talking to him about the fact that I'm into somebody and I shouldn't be. And, it's a little complicated than that. And he's like, if you start your 4th step, you'll resolve the issues of why you go after guys who are damaged and why you want to fix all these problems for everybody. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to start that. But that fear, again, right? We always hold on to that fear. And I have to just let it go. And it'll happen. It'll happen in time. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. Excuse me. But the critical thing is, if I don't keep working at the program, if I don't keep doing the program, I am not going to be able to retain my sobriety. And one of the things that I found, the most important thing I found in this program is a support network. If anything that I have share with anybody and share in every meeting and have shared at any given time is that always have a support network. I have 5 people I call outside of my sponsor that I reach out to. And I call them on a regular basis just to touch base. A lot of times we just talk, and a lot of times I'll call when I have the urge to use, or when I'm triggered about something, or when I'm upset. There were a couple other things. One more character defect was I'm a drama queen. Hello. Oh yeah, I forgot to wear my crown. Oh, damn it. Yes, she loves drama. God. Oh. And then there's one more thing. Never mind, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Yes, I do love my drama. If there is drama there, I'm right in front of the line. And so I've been trying to work on all that. If I don't reach out to my support network and say, hey, this is the problem I'm facing, I will slip back into old behaviors. I don't want to feel. And I think that's 15 minutes. I don't want to feel. And if I don't want to feel, I am going to use. And if I'm going to use, then I'm just going to exponentially grow my problems, not eliminate them in any way or form. And the only way I can eliminate anything I'm feeling is by accepting it and working at it. Whether I have anger, whether I have resentments, whether I have happiness, sadness, whatever feeling I have, is I'm valid. Your feelings are valid. I mean, I'm validated for anything I feel. It's my reactions to my feelings that I need to work on. And that's what I'm trying to learn. If I don't change that, I'm always going to be an addict who uses, not an addict who used to use. And that's something that I'm learning over time, is like, how do I react positively versus negatively without going down this rabbit hole? But yeah, that's and this is where my mentors, my support group, my support network have come in handy and have helped me and guided me. And even helping people, newcomers, that helps me at the end of the day. Because it reminds me constantly, I don't want to be there. Helping them reminds me that is something I don't want to do again. Having the 1 year, I mean, I almost relapsed like 3 days prior. And then I was like, damn it, if I relapse, I'm not going to want to, I'm going to have to recount again. Do I really want to waste my time in counting another year? No. So I chose not to relapse. But that wasn't really so much a choice of not relapsing. It was the support I got. I sat down with my support network, people in my sober living, and I said, I want to use. And they just sat down around me and rallied around me and tucked me off the ledge. Because otherwise I was going out. And I stayed home. My roommate kept an eye on me, and I didn't use that night. And the feeling went away. And that's how it works. And that just proves the program frickin' works. I hate admitting it because I'm always right and it's all about me, and I always love to be the center of attention. Selfish, self-centered, and egotistical, that's me to the core. So I hate admitting that, but the program works. And with that, I'll take another 24. Thank you for letting me share, and thank you for inviting me, Ken.